Hi, this is Mike Ellie with BrandStreamPR.com. You're watching CEO Live. Today we're joined by Mr. Matthew Schissler, the Chief Executive Officer of Cord Blood America. Cord Blood America is the parent company of CORCell, which facilitates umbilical cord blood stem cell preservations for expectant parents and their children. Its mission is to be the most respected stem cell preservation company in the industry. Cord Blood America is a publicly traded company. Its common stock trades on the NASDAQ OTC Bulletin Board under the symbol CBAI. Matt's going to be discussing the new stem cell lab today and its implications for investors going forward. Good morning, Matt. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Mike. Great. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Tell us a little bit about the immediate effects building this lab will have for investors.
And as you mentioned, Mike, there's an immediate effect and there's a long-term effect. The immediate effect that the investors will be able to realize once the lab is completed is the very low reduction in our cost of goods sold. Currently, we outsource laboratory operations, which means that the laboratory we're outsourcing to has a natural profit built into the services that they provide. And once our lab is built, we will be able to recognize a lot higher cost per goods sold. A lot lower cost per goods sold, and a lot higher gross margin and gross profit. So having this lab really makes sense financially. Now, we had to get to a delta that essentially means that we have enough customers that owning our own lab and having an overhead makes sense. And we reached that delta probably about a year ago or so. We wanted to kind of get ourselves more sturdy financially before we pursued the lab, which we've done in the first half of this year. And so now during the second half, while we're building out the lab, there'll be some short-term cost in putting the capital equipment in place. But once the lab is fully operational, the investors will see an immediate increase in gross profit and gross margin percentage. So that's the short term. Okay.
So I know you're focused on just getting this thing up and running and open, which and that's slated for this fall. Is that correct?
Yeah, we believe the lab will be actually completed the first week of October. Obviously, we have to put in a cushion there for construction delays, if you will, but we've already started the process, and so far we're on schedule. The one other key element in this is we have to go through a testing, validation, and calibration process to have the equipment tested, calibrated, and validated in order to start processing cord blood. That should take a couple of more weeks. So we do believe that sometime in the fourth quarter we will start processing and storing our stem cells.
Okay, great. What I'd like to talk about now is what are some of the long-term goals that you have for this lab once it's up and running?
Sure. The long-term goal is to diversify the revenue stream. It's very, very simple. Right now, we store umbilical cord blood stem cells. Great business model. That being said, to be prudent as an organization, we like to have multiple revenue streams. And some of the other revenue streams we'll look at are other forms of stem cells to be stored, including adult peripheral blood, adipose tissue stem cells, and bone marrow stem cells. Outside of that, because it's going to be one of the largest cryogenic facilities in the country, we're looking to get corporate contracts as well to store large amounts of tissues, plasma, and other forms of blood, red cells and white cells into our lab. So in addition to having the one on parent, one off parent signing up to store the stem cells for their children, we'd like to be able to use our large cryogenic facility to wholesale store tissue samples for large corporations and hospital groups. So as an investor, one would look at what we're doing as an organization and say, okay, we said we're going to grow organically. We said we're going to reduce debt, and we said we're going to make acquisitions. Well, we have expanded our organic process in organic growth in a couple of foreign countries, and it's just getting kicked off as we speak. We have definitively reduced debt, and that's been reflected in numerous press releases as well as our first quarter financials that have been filed. And the third portion is acquisitions, and we believe that with this laboratory, we'll be able to acquire other stem cell samples and other stem cell companies, store their samples in our facility, and keep the growth curve going. So we're trying to do everything we need to do to live up to what we said we were going to do, and having the lab is probably the biggest key element for us to do that.
Yeah, it really sounds, it's obviously going to take things to the next level, and in terms of not only the research that can potentially come out of it, being able to expand your storage capacity, as you just mentioned, has got to be a significant impact to your long-term ability to grow revenue. So that's very exciting. Are there any other comments you'd like to add, Matt?
No, Mike, not at this point. I just wanted to make sure I clarified for the investors that didn't see the press release. why we're building a lab and what our long-term thought process is behind the lab. And I would just ask investors to keep watching our company and hold us to our promise that we're going to continue to focus on organic growth, acquisitions, and debt reduction.
Okay, great. Matt, thank you very much for joining us. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Mike.
You've been watching the CEO Live, and we've been talking to Mr. Matthew Schissler, who's the CEO of Cord Blood America. To find out more about Cord Blood America, you can visit their website at www.cordblood-america.com. You can visit their social media newsroom at brandstreampr.com/cordblood. Thank you.